Hello and welcome back to Off Track Podcast with me, Dave Neal. What an amazing show we have for you this week. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this episode. Recorded live at the Moulsdale Foundation Museum just a couple of weeks ago and produced, edited and directed by the brilliant Moulsdale Foundation videography team. It was a privilege to sit down with two Scottish racing legends. Ladies and gentlemen, just for one show only, the brilliant Jim Moodie and Ian Simpson. Enjoy.
Jim Moodie, Ian Simpson, welcome to Moulsdale Foundation Museum. Boys, it's great to have you on the podcast. Great to have you here in Glasgow at the Moulsdale Foundation Museum. How are you both?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Really good, thank you, mate. Nice to see you. Simo, nice to see you.
Thank you, Dave.
We're up here to hand over some of your bikes over to the Moulsdale Foundation Museum, some of the TT winning bikes, the British Championship bikes. I think it's going to be a fabulous day ahead of us. I think we've got something like 700 guests that are coming up this afternoon to witness a handover. There's a selection of bikes over the back as well. How did that all come about? How are we here today to hand over the bikes?
We were talking about it a minute ago. Strangely enough, it was when we were going skiing, just after Christmas, isn't it? We were heading skiing and Ian's in the back of the van. So he's talking about he's built a massive collection of bikes and we're cluttering the place up. And then one thing led to another. I know a friend of David's that works here, and I said, "Well, we could try and give Woody a call, see if we maybe do something with this place." And it just sort of developed from there, you know.
What bikes have we got? To list it for people that are listening in and watching on that can't make it.
I've got a few bikes in here. I've got my 91 OW01, got my TZ350 that we've done the European Classic Championship with. I've got 1100 Suzuki Classic super bike. My dad's TZ750, my dad's TZ350. My Fizzy, my C45. Steve Hislop's 96. 750 Kawasaki, the John Reynolds 95 World Superbike bike. I got that off. I was lucky enough to get that off of Ben Atkins about 20 years ago or something. Quite a. And then Jim's got a load of his bikes as well. So,
what have you brought with us, Jim?
I've got my Loctite 750 Superbike from 1994, my 1998 Fireblade from the TT. 2002 R6 from the TT, 2002 R1 from the TT.
It's a huge amount of history.
how many bikes he's got?
You showed me pictures of them earlier on. There's these raft of bikes that come up, but it's history of the sport, and as we've got today as the Scottish legends, as you both are. Did you notice they put a space in it as well?
Yeah.
Two Scottish legends of motorsport.
Used to be legends, now legends.
It's not lost on that, I think, people with the history that you have with the sport, the pair of you, with British Championships, with the TT wins that you both have. It's just such a rich history. You look at the bikes and they're iconic at the end of the day, with the Loctite Yamahas, with the V&M bikes, with the Castrol bikes, with the OW01. It's a phenomenal amount of history. When you look at the collection of bikes, what's the biggest memory for you first, Jim? Out of all of those bikes, what's the biggest memory?
They've all got memories, different memories, you know. But the R6 and the R1s, the V&M memories, because they were great people to run with. You know, Jack and Steve were, I think, they're the best team you could ever want to run with. There was just no bullshit, no glamour, but just done the job 100% right. So that was that. Loctite bike, it was the second year in Superbike. I led the championship for quite a lot of the year until he overtook me. So that was quite an interesting year. And the Fireblade thing was really good because I started that season with absolutely nothing. Managed to get a deal with Honda to do the Northwest and the TT. And the TT didn't even go according to plan because it had been kind of wet. I led the 600 race and the rain came on and these nutters here, him and Rutter, came flying by me in the wet, which I gave my bollocking for at the end, do you remember? And so come Friday, I had done absolutely nothing. And the Fireblade was definitely regarded as being old hat. So not only to win that race and annihilate the lap record, that was another good memory. But a lot of the memories are not the bikes. It's around the bikes. It's all the people you're working with, and you know the stories behind the bikes.
And it is. That's the privilege of sitting here with you both, and as we've sat with Jack Val before, the privilege is listening to the stories that are behind the results. Like we said before we came on, I've got the chronological list of what you've done and your achievements, but that's 5% of the overall story, isn't it? Simo, what's your best memories of the bikes at upstairs? Because you've got Dad Bill's bikes up there as well.
They've all got their own wee special stories. The bike that's probably most special to me is my TZ350, that because my dad's built that. He's built the frame, the swinging arm, the tank, the yokes, basically everything on that bike, and then getting like it's obviously got a TZ350 engine, but they used that for about 4 or 5 years in classic racing, probably more than that actually. And that's got a lot of memories. Sometimes the best fun's when you start racing, because you're just going in your van with your mates, and it's not so serious, and you strive to race for, Honda, Ducati, or whatever, and then if you're lucky enough to get there and do that, you realise you actually had more fun and a better laugh with your mates when you started. So when I finished racing, I'd done a bit of classic racing and went back to doing it like how you started, sort of thing, with your mates and in the van going on your holidays. So I sort of done a full circle. You start at the bottom and then get up into the first garages and the signing posters and the pit lane walkabouts, and then eventually topple off the end of the garages and back down in the gutter again. So that's us back down in the gutter.
Beautifully put.
I'm happier in the gutter. It's just me.
It's the experience. Isn't it? We try and explain this to some of the younger riders now, and that there will come a time where you're going to be in your local supermarket and you're going to come to race meetings, and it will be the older people that recognise you, but enjoy that time while you can, because it's so important, because it doesn't last. Exactly. It doesn't last forever, does it? But then the counter to that is you're at work. It's so intense. Once you get into a factory team and once you get onto the pinnacle of your careers, the intensity that it comes with and the pressure that comes with that, all of a sudden it changes the role completely.
Well, it makes it hard to enjoy it. The only real enjoyment then is it's the race and winning the race. The rest of it's just hard work, especially race days when you're sort of getting dragged about and you're trying to get your head into a race and you're getting dragged to hospitality this and PR this and track day, pit lane walkabouts and things, and all you want to do is just think about the race.
Very aware of that.
When you're a beginner, you don't have any of that crap.
You're unknown. You're not invited up. They're trying to bring people up onto the stage at BSB, bringing riders that I'm acutely aware that when I'm talking to Brooksy and to Tommy Bridewell and to Scott and the BSB lads, their heads are elsewhere. They do what they have to do and they're brilliant on stage, but they're thinking about the next race. They know they're thinking about preparation, hydration, fueling. They want to be somewhere else, and I fully get that. And it's a difficult situation to be in. But take me back to the beginning. When you two first met, let's talk about the early days of racing, when it was really good fun out the back of a van with your dad. You guys coming together, the same part of Scotland, and
when I first got,
you can't shake each other off.
He was doing all the winning in his 250 LC, and I can remember he was so fast on that, and I got a Mark III Gamma, and I thought, right, I'm just going to keep. I remember at Knockhill, got my new bike. My dad had raced at the TT, and I thought, right, I've got a better bike than Jim now. I'm going to be able to keep up with him.
You're missing a bit. He wouldn't let you go to Beveridge Park because he wouldn't let him go to Beveridge because he says it's too dangerous to go to Beveridge Park. So he's just put him straight to Knockhill. Right, going and you story out.
I can remember waiting for him and going out behind him in practice and thinking, right, whatever he does, I'm just going to do the same and follow him. And it only lasted 3 corners and fell off at McIntyre. I thought, if his bike can go around at corner that speed, I can do it as well. But there's a bit more to it than that, obviously.
It's a bit of a baptism of fire.
86 that was.
86.
1986, yeah.
Which is when you're following in the footsteps then of your Mackenzies of this world, because he'd gone to Grand Prix at that time, hadn't he? Pretty much.
And he was the man. He was just about to get his HP. He was just about to get his HP Honda ride.
So that was bringing Scottish motorcycle racing more to the fore yet again.
And Donny
McLeod as well.
Armstrong, yeah.
Yep, the Silverstone Armstrong days, of course.
Brian was on his way, but he still hadn't quite made it. He was on his way up, but he hadn't got to where he We've got two, you know.
Because that was the time for Brian, wasn't it? Getting to the late early 90s, Brian Morrison coming through as well, and yourselves. But when I was doing the research for it, when you look through at the last sort of 20 years of Supersport champions, with 4 wins for yourselves, 2 for John Crawford, then you throw Stuart Easton into that mix, you throw Taz into the mix, you throw Rory Skinner into the mix. That's a raft of Scottish champions in the Supersport class. Yeah. And in BSB as well, with Mackenzie, yourselves, it's an incredible history.
They'll do a great time for Scotland, no doubt about it. I mean, I don't know if they'll come back. You know, we took it for granted because all our friends were Scottish and we're all doing it. But it's hard now. You don't see that many of them now.
No.
You know.
But if you put in Duffus and Fearless and
JC,
John Crawford as well,
Stevie
Morrison, Steve Hislop, there's plenty of them.
Howard Selby, Eric McFarlane, there's just loads of them.
As Witt referred to it as a Scottish armada coming down.
It was.
Taking our races, taking our race wins and then buggering back over the wall. So when you two in your younger days and it's kind of aspiring to beat each other, your path has followed a similar career pretty much all the way through. You've both done the TT, both won British Championships. You've been best friends pretty much from the beginning, but a thorn in each other's side at the same time.
That's just the way it was. It was quite good actually because most people don't have friends to race against. Because we were friends from early on, and people like JC and Brian, Ian McPherson, they were your friends. It's just unfortunate we had to have mega races against each other.
Still are as well. Still best of friends with the boys.
Yeah.
You still do the Scottish tours as well. Get everybody together.
We do bikes, and then we do a skiing one in January. Yeah, it was good.
We get some infiltrators for that, though, don't you? You get Steve
we got a few honorary Scots.
Honorary members.
Steve Plater's allowed in. Simon Houghton and Witt, they're allowed in.
It just makes a really even better weekend, doesn't it? It makes a great weekend even better. Yeah. But the stories that come out with that. I think when we look at the history between you two, going back to 91, to your first Supersport championship, the race at Mallory Park is actually on YouTube. And I actually watched it yesterday, and it's just a fascinating glimpse into what you had to go through and what part you played as well, Jim, in that, especially going in towards the last lap with Phil Borley and Mark Farmer out front. Yeah. Just fascinating to watch it. Tell us a story of that 1991 season from both of your points of view.
The whole season? Or,
I came down the last race.
Coming down to the last race,
And he splattered himself.
I fell off Moodle W1 that's up the stair here and broke my back. My back's still knackered now for that. Still get a lot of trouble with it. But I had to, if Mark Farmer won the race, I had to finish second. And it was a good sort of last lap. Jim obviously knew that as well and let me through. And then I had to pass Phil Borley and basically just ran into the side of him at the bus stop. But you'd never get away with that. Stuart Higgs would have a fit if you rode like that. I just waited till he turned into the corner and rode into the side. I'm thinking, well, I'm either this is either going to work. I'm going to end up in the bushes again.
What was the whole shame? We got on well with him as well, didn't we? They were good friends of ours, like Mark and Phil Borley and that. But hey, that was racing. I mean, we had some mega tough races. With Ian, JC, we could break British Championship lap records doing Scottish Championship races. Thinking back now, that was ridiculous. Like how hard we'd done, how hard we raced in Scottish Championship races. You know, British Championship lap record was getting broke in a Scottish Championship meeting because it was me, Ian, JC, Ian McPherson. You know.
It's the history to it, and like you say, you're all racing against each other, pushing each other on, bringing each other forward, and watching that video is. I know we've spoken about that incident before at the bus stop, and now having actually seen it, it's just let the break. You just got to go through. I'm either going to come out the end of this or I'm not. And the congratulations on the slow down lap. Everything worked just brilliantly to take that first title.
So I measured the man, Phil Borley. I know he was some rider, proper hard man as well, and never even said anything, never even complained. It was a good job it was the last race of the season because I'd been getting it at the next one.
And Mark was bloody hard.
He was a hard rider as well, wasn't he?
Mark was a brilliant rider.
He was absolutely brilliant.
He was very, very underrated. You know.
In what way?
Just, it was natural, everything. Short circuits, Isle of Man TTs, you know, everywhere I went, it was very good, and I could jump on anything. Like, very few people could jump in that Norton and be good in it. He jumped in the Norton and was good straight away, you know.
He was a brilliant rider.
When did you make the switch to the roads, the pair of you? Well, how did that come about?
I started off doing the roads. I'd done the Manx in '87. Started racing in '86 and did the Manx in '87 and Beveridge Park and stuff in '87. So I'd always done a few roads. Thinking in our day, pretty much anybody that raced, there's very few people that raced that didn't do the roads as well as the short circuits. So it was more a crossover in those days. That, you know, if you wanted to make a living racing motorbikes, you pretty much done the roads.
Like, we done all the Irish road races. I skipped the tempo, but I'd done most of them. And that was like saying, it was a way of just making money. If we went to the British Championship, you could make money doing the Irish road races. So we'd maybe do an Irish road race on Saturday and come over to Knockhill and do a Knockhill race. You know, and, in those days, you could make between 3,000 and 5,000. You know, and when the British Championship was like 600 quid, and it cost you a lot to do that.
It cost you a lot more to do than that.
Yeah.
So doing the Irish road races, when you're racing it against such luminaries over there, they had cut their teeth doing your Tandragis and your Walderstowns and places like that, Skerries. Kind of sketchy places at best, but
First time I ever went to Skerries, I qualified pole and broke that record. I like Skerries. I liked all that. It was great fun.
What attracted you to it?
The road racing, money.
Fair.
Yeah. It was just, that was the way of making money till the next British Championship races, and it worked. You know, like we'd go to Southern Ireland and we'd get 1,000 punts-ish to start, and then you got the prize money, and go over to Knockhill. Because that was when Scottish Regal was around. What was it, 400 quid to win the Regal race? 400 quid. So you could make...
35 euros.
Yeah, you could make... Okay, it was 75 quid for the rest of the ones, but if you won 3 or 4 Supersport races, 400 and 3 or 4 Supersport, 600 plus the Regal, you could make 8 to 1,000 at Knockhill and another 3 or 4 grand at the Irish races, you know?
Including, now all that's pretty much left is the Northwest 200, isn't it? Which has changed dramatically, I think, since you boys rode there. But it still has that essence of an Irish road race. But tell me your best. You both won there.
I liked the Northwest. It was great fun.
It's an amazing place, through Port Roche, Port Stewart, Coleraine, round the Triangle.
The drafting, that was brilliant. It really was. You had to be so on your toes, you know, because you could still win on a slow bike as long as you stayed in the draft, you know.
Favourite memories?
I love the Northwest and the TT and stuff. I still do. I still go every year at the TT, especially to watch and stuff. And I always get a good laugh going with my pals. I remember, because they're getting really strict now where you can go on your trials bike and where you can't go. You know, years ago we used to just go anywhere. You know, we're all country boys, so you're not leaving gates open. You know, if you see a sheep cow tower, you put it in its feet or whatever. You know, you're not like. So that you don't get any hassle for the farmers then, because you go around the edge of the fields and stuff.
Picking sheep.
So we're at, one time the trials bikes and we're watching near the veranda. I was seeing this guy shouting and swearing, and he's on like a wee pit bike thing, and he's shouting and swearing, and what's wrong with him? And is he shouting at us? No, I can't be shouting at us. And anyway, he was. So he comes running over, and he's tried to catch us up and he couldn't. It was like Keystone Cops. He's trying on this wee bike. So eventually he decides to put the bike down and run and pull one of us off the bikes. So he goes to my mate Titch first because he's only a wee guy. He thought, right, I'll pull him off his bike. But he happens to be the best trails rider by a mile out of it all. So he's doing trick riding. Every time he'd done a lunge for him, he went a wee bit faster and then stopped and waited for him to come up and catch him, and so he's trying to pull him off the bike and going around in circles. We are absolutely creased up laughing at this. So eventually he realised he wasn't going to get him, so he's shouting and swearing and carrying, he's going absolutely berserk. You lot are killing the TT and everything, you know, you're not even interested in the racing, and you've no interest in it. You just come here to wreck the place and cause trouble. And Robbie Burns says, we just come here to shag your women and drink your beer, you know. So that set us off laughing again. And so eventually it went on for about 10 minutes and he's shouting and swearing. And Andy, one of the other boys with us, says, right, I tell you, if you don't shut up, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. And he's still shouting and swearing at us. He says, right, that's it. One more word. He says, I'm going to hold you down. He's pointing at me. He says, he's going to take all your clothes off. I'm going to ride away with your clothes, and I'm going to throw your phone in the bin because you're too old for me to batter you. But that's what I'm going to do. And he said that deadly serious, and we're all looking like, he is actually going to do that if he doesn't shut up. So he did shut up and wander off before he got stripped naked and his phone thrown in the bin. Anyway, I don't like. You shouldn't really ride your trails bikes in the fields in the Isle of Man, I suppose I better say.
Yeah, no, different times.
Different times.
Different times, but so much better times. We were out last night and talking about the stories behind the stories, and that's the privilege of doing the podcast and talking to you both, is the stories of how things happened and why they happened. The results are great, and the results all speak for themselves and will stand the test of time. But the stories of when you go to the Irish road racing and the nights sat outside the campers, the nights in the bar, that's when it's like talking to Roger Burnett and Roger Marshall. That era was so good because you enjoyed yourselves, it feels, far more than the boys and girls do these days.
We certainly enjoyed ourselves, that's for sure.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it at the time because we were obviously still trying to progress. And I think back now in the early 90s when we got a bit of sponsorship, but we were still not really what you call factory riders, were we? Travelling through Europe. We had some great times travelling through Europe. But it didn't really feel great at the time because we were still skint basically. And everything was quite tight to get to the next round and make enough money to get to the next round and compete in that. But looking back now, I think they were the best times. They were great fun. Like the early 90s, we did either share vans or trucks together, or we'd take people like JC and Duffus and Brian, and we'd all sort of like go in each other's trucks, and they were fantastic.
I remember being on the CBs and driving Germany, and you're getting flashed by folk in BMs and Mercs and stuff to move out of the way. So we're talking in the CBs when it's all clear to go out and like past stuff. And there's a big fat German in a brand new Merc that's waving out the window at Jim like. Obviously recognise
his sunroof is open.
His sunroof is open. So I'm on the CB telling Jim this big fat German's waving at you. It must have recognised you. So Jim's got a warm can of Coke on the dashboard of his truck that's been sitting there for about 2 weeks in the sun. So he shook it and he's held it out the window. He's opened it and dropped it in this.
It was a perfect shot.
Perfect shot.
Straight into
the sunroof.
About 15 miles up the road, the cop, do you remember? And he's pointing.
But what was the story of the cranes?
Oh, Innsbruck, aye.
In your dad's appearance in this one. One story that I remember reading about.
Aye, so I think we were going to Salzburg. And we're knackered. I'd been driving at about 2 or 3 in the morning, like left Scotland obviously, drove there non-stop and thought, we'll need to stop for a sleep. So we pulled into a car park.
Both our trucks that time.
Aye, we did. Aye. So both had our trucks and pulled into a car park in Innsbruck. Thought, we'll have a sleep, we'll get some breakfast in the morning, a few coffee or something. So about 5, we'd only just got to sleep. About 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody's knocking on the door. Yeah, so like,
I missed most of it because they were banging his truck.
So banging in my truck, telling us to move, you can't park there. So we'll move in the morning, away you go anyway. So went back to sleep, didn't move. Woke up in the morning and they've blocked us in with some cranes and some old trucks. And then left, thought, this obviously thought, right, we're not going to be able to get out, we're going to be locked in till the police come. So we woke up in the morning, like 9 o'clock or whatever. So Jim's went and got his crowbar and he's managed to break into this crane thing, knocked it in neutral, gave a bit of a shove, and it's disappeared away off. It started rolling off. I thought, right, let's go.
Let's go. We had to be from Build, remember?
All right, so this crane's rolling off down the hill. I'm going, come on, quick, let's go. This line of God knows where that's going to end up. So I think, where's Bill? Where's Bill? And shouting at him, eventually came running around the corner laughing and giggling. What have you been up to? And he'd desperate for a shite. He'd went to this security guy that'd been chasing us, went to his office, sat in his door and had a shite in his doorstep.
And he says, he'll know it's me, he'll know it was one of us because I left him toilet paper.
Aye, so I'll know it's not a dunk because I left a wee pile of pink toilet paper next to it. So I don't know what happened to the crane, but we got out of there quick.
Get out of there pretty quick.
That was not a problem.
And what were your best memories of the road trips, Jim? I mean, there must be so many stories.
There's so many. There's just so many.
It's hard to think of them. I'll buy you a bit of time. It's so hard to think, and when you go back through the years, because you had so many great adventures, and trying to pick out one of each. That's like your best Jack Valentine story. There must be 6, 7, 8, 10 where Jack's involved.
I can remember laughing like mad when we were at Knockhill. We went to the touring cars. It was me and Ian McPherson and Brian Morrison, Ian Duffus and Jim and a load of them. We're standing talking in the paddock and Jim was talking and then he got all sort of fidgety. And I'm like, what's up with Jim? And he looks over and John Cleland, the touring car driver's leaning in Jim's spoiler. You know, Jim's like OCD mad, like everything's immaculate, everything's perfect. So you don't like
him and that Jason Plato.
So it's leaning in Jim's BMW, and straight away I thought, oh no. So Jim shoots.
It's my first brand new car.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, pride and joy.
Yeah, it was. I see myself.
Joy, so he's looking up, and it's like for here at the other side of this room, and he's looking up and saying, hey. Eventually, John Claren looks up, and Jim goes, "Oh, that fucking car!" And he just looks up and goes, "Please." Aye. Me and Brian Morrison looked at each other, like, you know what Brian's like, hey, this is nothing. And Brian's looking at me going, So he's going, I'll fucking please you. He's got him by the throat and wrestled him by the throat. So John Cleland says, security, help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's got
all one movement.
He's got, I'll please you. Got him with the floor.
Yeah.
So there's we were all pissing ourselves laughing. I'm thinking, well, I could see that coming a mile away. There's all the touring car lot going, security, help, there's a madman in the loose.
You get a bad rap through this.
I do.
You get a bad rap through a lot of the unnecessarily bad rap, Jim.
It's totally
a lot of the stories.
So here's another bad rap one. 1994, we're at Knockhill. So I'm riding for Loctite now, and Ian Duffy was my teammate that weekend because it was the year at Puro Market Kill at the TT. So I went through a few teammates, Andrew Stroud and Duffus. We'd done the Bishopscourt the day before. Remember you and Phil Bowley were riding the Norton. Mm-hmm. So we'd done Bishopscourt the day before, and we were still riding like British Championship. I thought, this is ridiculous. Like me, Ian and Phil were miles in front of everybody else at Bishopscourt. So we get to Knockhill and there was 3 races. I said, look, it's the end of the season. If we keep on going, one of us is going to get hurt. Let's have a win each and we'll split the money. So he was 100% okay. We had to go speak to Phil. And Phil being a kind of like straight lace and stuff like that, we had to talk him into it and he goes, oh, okay, right. So how's it going to work? I said, well, you can win the first one. You win the first one. Ian wins the second one. And I win the third one. And we'll just make a race of it. And we'll put all the prize money in a pot and split it. That way, none of us is going to get hurt. Right, okay. So first race goes, backed off by maybe half a second. The racing looked absolutely fantastic. People have said it's some of the best racing I've ever seen, right? Because it backed off, we could leave the door open a little bit. So we're making real good race of it. Second race, so Phil wins that one. Second race, we're getting more carried away. So we'd break a little belly and stuff, they'd shoot up the inside and then we'd go into the corners like McIntyre's, but not really to the apex, so it could get by. And like I said, it must have looked fantastic racing, didn't it? But anyway, third race, we get even more carried away. So, but now we're like probably a second off the pace, right? So it's my race to win. So it was 8th or 9th lap, it was a 10 lap, whatever it was, right? It's actually, Roger Bennett came scuttle up the inside of me. I went, oh no. And I'm behind these two, and these two don't know yet, right? I'm like, shit, what do I do? Because they've got to realise Roger's involved in this because we've got to get him out of the way. I thought, I need to wait till Roger passes the both of them. Then they'll realise we've got to go a little bit quicker, right? So I'm sitting there, he passed Ian and he passes Phil Bowley into the hairpin and it's now the last lap. So I'm 4th on the last lap. And this is the one that I'm meant to be winning, right? I'm like, oh shit. So these two pass him up the straight. The Yamaha was good, it wasn't that quick. Roger had a quick bike. So I had to absolutely bar him out of the way. to get past him, to get back in position to win the race. But I didn't realise he went off the track. So off the track.
Roger in the field.
Anyway, squeezed through, whoosh through Phil, whoosh through Ian, hairpin, won the race. So I never seen this bit because we're on the little Fiesta victory car. So I've got my back and Ian and Phil's facing back the way. As the car drove off, and they're absolutely pissed themselves, howling, laughing. He goes, "You don't know how close that was." He goes, "What?" He goes, "Roger was running up to get you." He goes, just as the car pulled away, Roger was up to get you. So I looked round, there's Roger standing right enough, right? I went, "Oh, shit." So what makes it worse is Rob Mack, being Rob Mack, rather than calm the whole thing down, he says, "Hey, let's wait, let's see what happens after they come round from the warm-up, from the parade lap. This is going to be hilarious." So he over to watch, anyway, gets back. And it's the victory lap, it's the rostrum and everything. And there's Roger fuming. He made a big mistake, didn't he?
What can you do?
He started poking at me. So he's big. Roger's about, what, 6'2"-ish? He starts, "I'll never forget it. If you ever, because Roger spoke like that, ever." He got about 3 evers, and I just said, "Don't ever poke me again." And I got hold of his finger and just put him right down.
Like I say, I think it's
Poking me once was okay, twice was not okay, 3 times was definitely not okay. It wasn't my fault because I barged them off.
I mean, fair.
But I didn't need to get poked about it.
You didn't need to get poked about it either. That
So
was the
we never
difference.
spoke for years, me and poor Big Roger.
I still think it's an unfair reputation. It's like we were doing a little bit of research for the show. It was a 400cc race at Brands Hatch, and who was out in front? It was
What are we talking about?
Darren Mitchell.
Oh, 91?
91 was a 400 race at Brands Hatch, and you turned around, you were giving him some sticks. So I still think it's unfair, the reputation you have, Jim.
Yeah. I can't remember what happened to that, but yeah, we had
Something at Paddock Hill.
It was at Paddock Hill. We had a bus stop.
You'd never seen gesticulate. You kept looking around for him.
I think I kicked him.
You did.
I kicked him. I tell you what, that was when Super Sport was hard.
Yeah. No, Super Sport, right? It wasn't 400 race.
400. 400.
Yeah, it was.
400, there was you, me, Foggy, Steve Hislop, Ziggy, Steve Ives. Who else was doing it there?
Edwards.
Mike Edwards.
Mark
They were
Farmer,
Mark
Sean
Farmer, Emmett. They were hard races, those 400 races.
Joe McGuinness.
Whit, there's a few, John McGuinness.
Whit
as well.
Right, the doers bike, yeah. Super hard to win those
Full
races.
of doers, every single one of them. And you won one of those, because you remember them at Alton Park, there was Foggy, you
Stevie,
guys,
yeah.
because Foggy was
He was
Whit
at
on the
Honda.
250?
Yeah, he's in the Suzuki RGV.
On the RGV 250, yeah. That's when Foggy said about turning round, and all he did was look around and just one eye looking at him, because Whit's eyes are one of Foggy's greatest lines. But you know, the reputation, I think, is unfounded.
Absolutely.
After the conversations we've had last night and that we've had so far, I think that the Mad Dog Moodie thing, I think it's...
Absolutely. It didn't do
Similar, well, this is it. Sometimes it can be curated nicely, can't it? Where people, it's Jim, we'll keep out of his way. Look at you, the grin on your face for this.
We're going skiing, we're driving down a few months ago there, and Willsey Coulter comes with us, and Will's a great lad. And Willsey eats birdseed and drinks distilled water and all that kind of stuff. It's like,
No, he does. No, he does. Oh, yeah, he's
me and Brian are in,
Chia seeds and things like that.
his health freak to extreme.
so me and Brian are sitting in the front eating Kit Kats and salt and vinegar crisps and normal stuff. And so we've chomped through all the way through all the decent stuff, and there's only Willsey's birdseed left. So Willsey's passing the birdseed through. You want any of that, Ian? No, that's not for me. Pass it to Brian. No, pass it to Jim.
It was
Jim
dark.
did-
I never realised what it was.
Jim thought it was sweeties or something, so he's put his hand in and got a big handful of this birdseed. Put it in his mouth. Bear in mind, we're doing about 110 mile an hour here in the van. So he's putting it in his mouth. What's that? So he puts the window down, doing 110 mile an hour, blows it out the window, and it all comes back in all the dashboard, all the whole of the van. And I'm looking at Brian going, I'm glad it wasn't you that done that.
So I was raging I'd eat the crap, but I was even more raging all this crap all on my dash. What the hell's that shit you just gave us?
Made a right mess.
The great thing when you talk about you guys together, it's you that gets the bad rap, but surely he's been up to stuff as well.
He's worse than me.
He comes across as
No, he's an instigator.
Yeah,
He's actually an instigator.
He leaves you to sweep up afterwards.
100%.
Here, Jim, I've got a really good idea.
100%. 100%. In fact, they all do. That's why it was always me, because I was always instigated.
Well, you've got something on Simo somewhere.
Yeah, can't say. Can't say. We could say, but
We could say, but we can't. Simo's breathing a sigh of relief now at this.
Good word.
Take us to the TT, because you both had a fantastic history there. Some great wins, podiums. You stood on the podium together at the TT. When you first set off on that journey, it was a real purple patch as well for the times with the Dunlops and DJ and the names that were up there. Brian Reed was still doing his thing at the time, and Steve Linsdell, so many great names. When you first started out on that journey, did you expect it to take it where it did, to winning for yourself 8 TTs, 3 for you, Ian?
no for me. My journey lasted until Brandish in the first lap of my first TT. I was at a TT in 1987, but I don't class it as that, because my very, very first lap of practice lasted to Brandish, because Joey passed me at Parliament Square. And I went, Joey, I need to follow him. If I'm going to win these, I need to follow him. On my very first lap, I followed Joey, and amazing enough, I got from Parliament Square to Brandish. And I didn't have a clue where I was going.
That's the mountain covered, yeah?
Anyway, got to Brandish. So I broke a few ribs, and I got home, and I thought, nah, this TT's not for me. I need to protect myself from going to the TT. I'm not controlled enough to go to the TT, so I was done. It was actually 1987, I was done. And then I kind of had a rethink. I thought, if I go back, I need to learn it properly. So an old friend, a friend of my dad's, actually Robbie Allen, ex-motocrosser and TT racer, I thought, Robbie's pretty steady. He was a good age when how old would Robbie been then? He'd be late 50s, 60s. He was one of these people just raced on for years. So I thought, I'll go back to the TT and I'll follow Robbie. That's what I'll do. I'll follow Robbie. And then if I still don't like it, then I'll call it a day. So I sat behind Robbie for 3 days. Whatever speed he done, I just followed him. I thought, oh, it's a lot better when you're a bit safer. And that's the real reason how I started it.
A similar way to following Joey
That wasn't
on a lap.
It wasn't good following Joey. Later on it was, but not at that time.
You need to know where you're going if you're trying to follow Joey.
Definitely.
Definitely. All right.
I'm lucky I never killed myself.
I've spoken to James Hillier about it, and one of the greatest strengths that he always harks back to, he got in behind John McGuinness for a couple of laps. And he said he'd learned more in those 2 laps than he ever did in the previous 3 years that he'd been going. And it just following someone like John, doesn't get out of shape, he doesn't hang off the bike. It's not like, trying to follow Davey Todd would be ridiculous. The way that he rides around the TT is incredible, or Hickey. But following John was always stable, picked his markers. It was the same point every lap. And it was the biggest learning curve he ever had. But also for you boys, it was early morning practices as well.
Oh, I hated that. I wasn't safe to be let out on a motorbike at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ian moaned from the minute he got into the paddock till it was done. We shouldn't be doing this. This is dangerous. I'm not safe.
Isn't it? It was terrible. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. Just sun in your eyes.
Because I can't imagine how difficult that was, being the bird scarer, going off first
No, you wouldn't never go first.
on morning practice.
But even then, there's still rabbits and stuff at the pier and loads of birds. Like, you always hit birds and stuff, and dampness coming up through the road and sun in your eyes and half asleep, and it's hard as well, because then you'd get back after a couple of laps, so you'd be buzzing. You maybe get back 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, so you couldn't go back to your bed because you'd be buzzing because you just done 2 or 3 laps. So then it'd get to like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you'd be knackered, but then you'd have to get everything sorted out to go back out on your bike at night. And then so you go back out your bike at night, and then you'd have to get everything sorted out to go out in the morning again for early morning practice. So after I'd done a few of them, I tried not to do them if I could. I'd just wouldn't bother going out in the morning unless I had a right problem with some bikes that were handling terrible or something.
From a terrible, the bikes were different now to as they are now, and the crews that they have, the level for want of a better word, the level of professionalism now that's at the TT, where they've got the teams, they've got 5 or 6 mechanics, they've got data engineers, they've got chassis mechanics and everything. In your early days, what did you boys have?
Nowadays you can buy everything. If you've got the money, you can just go to K-Tech and or Olins or whatever, or Maxton, and they'll give you, the setup. There's a lot of clever people working all the companies, and you'll not be far away if Maxton or K-Tech or whatever give you a base setting for a Fireblade or a 600 or whatever for the roads. It'll not be far away. But in our day, you pretty much had to just figure it out yourself. And I was really lucky that my dad would, strip forks and make his own fork internals and stuff, and weld stuff up and drill holes and stuff, and just make things out of whatever was lying about and that. So,
there was no data.
You just had to write it, really.
Even the shocker, you put the shocker in, kind of guess it, but you still end up changing springs and changing damping stuff all through practice.
There is no perfect setup, is there?
No.
It's always a compromise.
Yeah.
Always at that point. So when you're lining up and you've been away for a year and you're on the Glen Crutchery Road, and the first race, you've done all your morning practices, you've done your evening practices, and that first race start comes up, what are you feeling at that point? Because this is something that I will never feel, and it's never lost on me, the stories that we hear when you go through what is now the Arch, going into no man's land. You sat on the top of the Glen Crutchery Road, you're looking down to the top of Bray Hill to St Ninian's Crossroads.
I'm getting nervous here when you're just actually talking about that, the thought of it.
I'd forgot about it until you just said it.
Only
people who can win TTs understand what they go through just before they start. Because there's people who go to TT and they know they're not going to win, so they probably don't have the apprehension that we used to have. But when you're going out there and you know you're going to try and win it, and you're going to have to go really harder than you want to go, and you don't want to die, that's pretty tough,
The weight of expectation.
And that, yeah.
Everybody handles it different, Like, I'm quite good pals with Michael Dunlop, and he's a great boy. I absolutely got on brilliant with him. And, he handles it in his own way, and it drives me mad if people say that he's blanked somebody or not talked to him or whatever. I'm like, he is so stressed out his brains, Anybody else, any of the top boys are trying to win, Hickey or Davy Todd or any of them, Dean Harrison, any of the boys, they'll handle it in their own way, but I can guarantee they're all really nervous and really, really stressed, and, because you just can't make a mistake. You can't let your mind wander. You can't think about what you're having for your tea, or what, you've just got to, the concentration is really difficult and very stressful. So you've got to give the boys a wee bit of slack, if
100%.
Anybody at the Isle of Man's maybe not quite herself or ignores somebody or whatever, you've got to give, or throws a tantrum when they come in or whatever, you've got to give them a bit of slack, I think.
Your first win was a double.
Mm-hmm.
What changed that year for 93 to win 600 and 400 cc TTs?
Good bikes. I think I was ready in 91. I finished third in the 491.
Yeah.
I think I was ready in 91, although I was still a bit rougher on the edges. I definitely knew where I was going, and I thought I was going fast enough. Then I skipped 92 because I broke my wrist, and then obviously 93 I had really good bikes. The Jack and Steve 400 was the best 400, no doubt about it, and it was my 600, but it was Jack and Steve's engines, and it won everything. It won all the British Championship races. I was getting lap records in every round. I blitzed the Northwest, got lap record at the Northwest, so it was the time. The bikes were brilliant, and that was it. Same with 250. I never ever rode 250s. I think it was the first time I rode 250, and I finished second to Brian Reid by 1.8 seconds. I never rode 250s.
That's impressive, considering Brian cut his career on 250s and 350s.
I think I lost 15 seconds in the first lap, because obviously it was quite strange to jump from bike to bike, As the years went on, I got, even the 2-strokes, it became easier and easier, but at the beginning it wasn't quite 4-stroke to 4-stroke easy, but the 4-strokes to the 250 was a little bit more difficult. But towards the end of the race, I felt really good on that bike. So it wasn't far from a triple. It wasn't far from none to a triple,
Which is an incredible issue, but even 2 in 93 is incredible.
Mind-blowing. Yeah, it was mind-blowing.
Standing on the podium for the first time in front of the grandstand, this is why we go racing. And again, it's the counter to being sat on the Glen Road, stood on top of the podium. You both experienced it. Is it elation or is it relief?
It's probably relief for all the hard work. That's for me it was. But the weird thing is, like I said, it was mind blowing. To win TTs was beyond, when I was growing up, it was beyond anything comprehensible. But the weird enough, seeing you walk down the stairs, move on. What's next? You know, like I remember speaking to Hutchie in 2010 when he won the 5. Because he'd lived with me. He lived with me all through that winter, training for it. And I was in it. I had back out in America, and I was saying, savor the moment, because you just don't know what's around the corner. Like I never spent 1 minute savoring the moment, and I wished I had now, because I just move on. What's next? And look what happened to Hutchie just a couple months after. And I said, appreciate what you've done. You know,
we've had this on the podcast, mate. It's a recurring theme of being in the moment and being able to appreciate what you're doing at that time. But the way that motorcycle racing is, it's the next session, it's the next race, it's the next weekend.
Yeah.
Everything is pushing forward. And we said last night, it's incredible how people are easily forgotten about in the paddock, because everybody's just looking forward to the next event, the next session. And it just, you either move forward with it or you step back and you do your own thing, as you've done since you stepped back from the paddock. Simo, you've had a bit more involvement over the years in the paddock. It's amazing how things change. But when you're in the midst of the TT at its peak with DJ and Hizzy, yourselves and the Dunlops, so many names we said before, what are your greatest memories of Joey?
I was his teammate. One of the funny memories was I was his teammate 99 and 2000. And 98, 99, 2000. Anyway, we've got the V-twin Hondas, those, I can't remember, is it RS 500? What are they called again? The RS 500s? NS 500s,
yeah.
So I loved mine. I thought it was fantastic. And Joey being Joey was obviously a hero, mega TT winner. I couldn't believe it when he came up to me. He goes, what do you think of that bike? I said, I think it's great. He goes, I think it's shit. And he rode the RC45. I thought, wow, I can't believe it. I think this thing's great and Joey thinks it's shit.
He's an amazing character, and to see the legacy continue after William and Robert, and seeing Michael continue it. As you said, Sam, you're great friends with Michael. I think I had the privilege of seeing Joey race just once, and that was at the first World Superbike round at Donington Park on the Rothmans Honda. But I never actually saw him on the roads. I didn't come to the TT till 2018. But the aura that Michael has, I think, goes right through the family, from Robert and William and Joey as well.
Robert was a really nice guy as well. Really, really nice guy. Yeah. Michael's dad. Yeah.
Remember, Michael said to me that he didn't think his dad got the credit that he deserved for how good he was.
No.
And I said, I'll tell you what, not by anybody that raced against him wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Maybe Dafty's that don't know anything about racing, but
yeah, he was a brilliant short circuiter as well as a road guy.
You'd never find anybody that raced against Robert Dunlop that wouldn't say what a brilliant rider he was. Mm-hmm. Absolutely brilliant rider. So adaptable as well. Yeah. Like one might win a 125 and next might win in a superbike.
The Norton. 125 for Norton.
Hard bikes to ride as well. You know, proper hard things to ride.
And you stood on the podium with both of them?
Aye, lucky enough to.
Yeah, I have as well.
Both of you have, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, proper gentlemen, proper racers.
Mm-hmm.
As you look back now and you see the memories and you see it in the regard in which you're all held, how much pride does that give you now?
Oh, great. Yeah, well, it's yes. It's still on my phone to this day.
Wow.
William and Robert, I presented the trophies to them. Yeah.
How fabulous. It's a great tan you've got there, Jim, as well. That Florida tan. The Florida tan's looking well there.
Yeah, I presented those two their trophies. It was great. Yeah.
How absolutely fascinating. When you move on with your careers and you ride for Big Jack, that I think is, when you talk to Big Jack, he's such a larger-than-life character.
So funny.
Brilliant.
He doesn't even realise he's being funny sometimes. I can remember we were in the TT, like Honda Britain, everything all like professional, and Jack's getting all the riders and mechanics together, and he walks in and he goes, right, you lot, no f***ing swearing, popsicle in. We're all laughing. He didn't even realise he swore. He never even realised he said it. He didn't even know we were laughing at. That's just Jack. Yeah. The best team I ever rode for was Jack and Steve, V&M as well.
Brilliant.
Just the best bikes, absolutely neither of them had any interest at all in pot plants and fancy flowers and polishing trucks and
Just go racing.
just interested in racing and wanting to win. The pair of them, great. And they wouldn't put stuff on the bikes if it was rubbish. A lot of teams you rode for, they put, I don't know, different shocks in the bikes because they got money for using them or whatever. But Jack and Steve wouldn't do that. They'd just make the bikes as best as they possibly could.
You had a great affinity with V&M.
Yeah.
A lot of your biggest achievements are with Jack and the late Steve Mellor.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the very best ones was like when in 2000 I was leading the Supersport Championship for Honda, and then we had a big bus stop, Honda made a bus stop. And the bike was brilliant in 2000. It was new for '99. It wasn't that good in '99, but in 2000, the Castro bikes with me and Kurt McCarthy were brilliant. They were world-class bikes. Anyway, leading the championship, go to TT, big bus stop, me and Honda part ways. So I'm in the shit. So I thought, who the hell can I get that's going to beat this bike? So I phoned Enzo, first of all, Enzo De Clemente, who was riding Dean Harris, for Dean Thomas. And he goes, he can't give me the bike. So I'm sitting there, next thing out of the blue, Jack phones me because they weren't doing British Champion at the time. He goes, you fancy riding the R6? He goes, I'm not sure how good it is, but I think it'll be good in the short circuits. I says, I don't know. He goes, I can't pay you any money. I says, right, okay. He says, but I'll get the bikes to the meetings. I'll look after and everything. So I said, right, okay. When can I test it? So the next round was Snetterton. And he goes, let's do the test at Snetterton, whatever it was, like 2 days' time. I says, right, okay, I'll be there. Gets down to Snetterton. The bikes are straight from the TT. DJ was riding. Yeah, DJ's bikes. So it's all TT gear and everything. And out I went. Done a few laps at Snetterton. I thought, this feels pretty good. And also it's Pirelli tyres. I've been riding Dunlop tyres. So I'm in Pirelli tyres. The R6, never ridden it before. Done about 10 laps and it came in. I says, yeah, okay, the bike feels okay. Done a little bit of change because obviously DJ's a lot bigger than me. Softened a bit off the bike off. Changed the gearing, put a new tyre on it. Second lap, broke the lap record. So I come in and I says, yeah, I think we're racing it.
So then, did you take the championship that year as well? Yeah, on two different, I think one of the few, if not the only time, that the Supersport Championship's been run on.
Half the wins were Honda, half the wins were Yamaha.
And on a Yamaha.
But the fascinating thing about that is, through your career on the middleweight bikes, how the bikes had changed from the early days on the Supersport, on the FZRs, to then on an R6, which was probably the most race-focused middleweight bike that we've ever had. Mm-hmm. You've seen the development all the way through for the pair of you.
Oh yeah, in the late 80s, early 90s, they were just road bikes, weren't they? Whereas at the end they were like little racing bikes. They were fantastic. So much so that if you didn't do the super bikes very often, and you were spending a lot of time riding super sport, it would take you 3/4 of the day to go faster on a super bike than you've been doing on your super sport bike. Like I'd ride Jack's R1 here and there. So when we do a Kyrgyzstan or the Sunflower meetings or something like that, it would take me more than half the day to go faster on the superbike than the R6 because they were that good. Once you got there, you were quicker.
Yeah, sure.
But it didn't happen straight away. Yeah.
Remember, you sold your FZR after Monza. The Spanish guy.
Louis Dantin.
Louis Dantin.
Yeah, Louis Dantin. Yeah.
Obviously thought your bike was a lot better than what it was.
It was bog standard, and because when I helped Ian get the British Championship, I also helped Howard Selby in 1990 get the European Championship.
Okay.
Because I was dicing with Marigelli, who runs the
the Yamaha team, yeah, sure.
And the second gear broke. It started breaking. It started jumping out of second gear, so I couldn't use second gear. But I also knew I was getting this bike sold for $1 million pesetas, £5,000, $1 million pesetas at the end to Dantin. Oh shit, it's got to finish. So I backed off. And I'm now dicing with Leachy. And it was between Leachy and Howard Selby to win the championship. And I knew if Leachy beat me, it was going to beat Howard. So on the final lap, I gave it absolutely everything to beat Leachy by half a wheel that got Howard the championship. So Dan Teams Airways took this guy, remember the ball guy, Tony? They're there to get my bike straight from the park Fermi. And I'm like, yeah, no problem, you have the bike. The engine was bog standard, 10,000 mile road engine. There was a single thing done to it. So we're packing the van to get away before they find out it's broke. So Howard's having a party. Howard said I was having a party. I said, we need to go. I said, when that guy finds out his bike's broke, he's going to want his money back. So we're just driving to the gate, and I went, oh no. There's Dantine and Tony banging the van. I went, oh shit, no. I said, what is it? He goes, you can have your bodywork back. We can't take it any Spain with your bodywork. It's got to look like our bike. I went, oh, okay.
Thanks, bye. Those European Championships, as we spoke about earlier on, when you're doing the travelling through,
hold on. There was one brilliant bit with this.
This is your show. You carry on.
That very meeting, so it was wet. Remember, it was wet all through practice. We hadn't got one dry lap of practice at Monza, and it was wet. And so, I mean, O2 has never been. In fact, quite often we couldn't even get entered until we had to wait. We had to miss the first round because it was oversubscribed, and we were always trying to get in without paying for anything. So we'd need to let the first practice sessions go, and then one or two drop out. We'd get in when we would get in the afternoon for free entries and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, it dries out for World Superbike qualifying. I said to Ian, I'm going to sneak out through Brian's garage. I said, I don't care. I'm going to go out through his garage. And he goes, well, so am I then, right? So World Superbike practice is we sneak out of Brian's garage, time practice. So by the third lap, the black flagging us, right? So I'm at 3 laps. Now I'm going to another lap. Keep going. Black flagging me. 5th lap. And the 6th lap, they're actually out on the track trying to get me in, right? Because obviously it's World Superbike, time practice.
Imagine that nowadays.
I know.
Exactly,
So
yeah.
I get in, and they were going absolutely mental. I said, what? He goes, so they're basically trying to say we're in what? I said, I can't speak English. I thought it was super sport. So we took a mega ball, had to go up to the office. Me and you got up to, I walked down the stairs, I said, I don't care how much a ball came was. It was worth it for 6 laps.
6 laps in front of that. Like, what a way to do it. But the things that you could get away with were just incredible by plausible deniability.
Yep. Oh, she's that dumb. That was the easy way. Didn't know, don't know.
When you're back at the TT, we'll cover off on the TT as well, because I know time's starting to push on. We've got to be upstairs in the not too distant future. When the racing had finished and everybody went down into the town, the relief of doing that, of the final weekend, of the final race, the seniors done, and everybody just the full release. Whether you go to Bushies, whether you go down into Douglas, wherever, and the parties that were had. That relief you would never find anywhere else.
No, best feeling
Good
in
or
the
bad.
world.
Yeah, good or bad. Bad, it took a little bit more time to get back into the groove, but good or bad, yeah. That Friday night relief was just unbelievable. One of the fun nights, because we did used to properly let go. 1998, when I won Honda's 100th TT, it was quite good because Ian and Michael Rutter were the two Honda superstars. I was paid not to upset the party, 100%. They paid me not to upset the party. So I had nothing for 98, and then all I was doing was just doing tyre testing for Avon. It was the first year of the R1, so I spoke to Yamaha about trying to get a deal from Yamaha to ride the R1. And like I said, Ian and Michael Rutter were doing the full season British Superbike, so I had to meet Dave Hancock at there's Ian. I had to meet Oi! I had to meet Dave Hancock at Heathrow, and they were discussing me riding the bikes for the TT. So I said, yeah, okay. I said, what bikes you got? He goes, we'll give you the 500 again. Super Sport with Russell, and Fireblade Russell.
And Russell Savory on
Because
the
we both
Sanya
yeah.
bikes. Yeah.
But I said, yeah, okay. What about super bikes? He says, we can only give you the 500. I said, right, okay. Yeah. 75,000. He's like, what? 75,000. What for? Northwestern TT. What? 75,000. That sounds fair enough. He goes, but we're not paying Ian and Mike with that for doing the whole season. I don't want paid to ride. I want paid not to screw the party. That's what I'm getting paid for. I says, because I've got a deal with Yamaha. It's 12 grand. That's what they offer me, 12 grand. I says, I've got a deal with Yamaha at £12,000. I says, it's a shit deal, but I'll take the deal. And the Yamaha will beat the Honda. So, and
Wow.
he says to me, I need to think about it, Jim. I said, yeah, okay. So he phoned the following morning. I said, there's Dave Hancock on the phone. Hi, I've had a thought about it. He goes, I'm going to have to agree to it. I said, right, okay. I said, by the way, Dave, plus bonus.
See, these are the stories. These are the stories that come to the fore. And I think when you talk to the certain mechanics in the paddock that we've spoken to about doing a podcast, and he says, Dave, I cannot do a podcast with you until most of the cast aren't here anymore because I don't want what's coming back to me if I end up going down that road. And some of those stories, then they'll fill you in on the stories, and you suddenly go, probably best if we don't share that one. we can't do things. No, absolutely. We're not going to throw anybody under the bus in any way, shape, or form. But you say about the Honda Accord. You were telling us a story last night about the NSXs.
Oh, yeah, when we company cars.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the Honda get company cars. But Aaron Slate and Colin Edwards get NSXs because they were obviously better than us. So I said, how much is this company car thing worth to us? And he says, it's 10,000 a year. I says, right, I want the extra 10 grand, I'll buy my own Honda. So what do you mean? I said, I'm going to buy an NSX, just give me the extra 10 grand. So at least I looked like I was one of the big shots, but it's my own Honda NSX.
But we nearly went there. Well, that was going to go back. I mean, that was the car, wasn't it? The NSX. That's a factory World Superbike Riders car. There you go. You can just have that to play with.
To be fair, I only bought it so it was all for the image.
It looked good.
Yeah, but what I mean is for the image, because I quickly realised the more successful you looked, the more value you had.
Okay.
So, I made myself look a hell of a lot more successful than I actually was to get the very, very best deals.
That's an interesting concept.
Like the best motorhome in the paddock.
Yeah.
Helicopters, all that crap. It was all a show. It was all a show to get to manipulate the very, very best deals possible.
It's almost manifestation, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I understood how it worked. It's like we were talking earlier. We had fun when it was fun at the beginning. It was fun, but when it became serious, obviously it was a living then.
It turns into a business, doesn't it? At that point.
You had, and like you said earlier, you're not in it for very long, so you had to get as much out of it as you could. And once you understand how it works, you want to make sure you've done okay.
Tell me about the helicopter side of things, because they scare the life. I don't like helicopters. I'm ex-Royal Air Force. Fixed wing, quite happy. Rotary, not for me. But you quite adept with the helicopters.
Well, in 2001, guys, like I said to you last night, like I said, when I was riding for Honda in the UK, I was actually doing sneaky Spanish championship on a Ducati.
We'll come to that story. I haven't forgotten.
So Dernogan smashed after I won the British Championship in 2000. Dernogan smashed my leg to pieces in Spain 2 weeks later. So I missed all of the 2001 season getting operations on my leg. So I was bored. So first of all, I tried to help some people. I run a Scottish guy called Ross McCulloch, but I was still bored. I thought, you know what? I'd always had an inclination of like learning to fly the helicopter. I said, I'm going to learn to fly a helicopter. So even that was a good story, because I left Cadwell in my motorhome. I had a friend of mine, Russell. Russell said to me, go down to Wickham Air Park. I know a guy in there, he'll sort you with a helicopter. So I drive down. I had it in my head I wanted to just learn to fly a helicopter, and that was it. Drives down. I went in 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, and I says, I'm not sure about buying or learning to fly a helicopter. I says, what kind of money are in helicopters? He goes, what? He goes, can you fly? I said, I've never flown in my life. Right. And do you want to learn to fly or buy one? Both. Right. How much are they? He takes me out and he goes, right, that one there's $750,000. Oh, no, down. Jet Ranger 4, no, down. R44, 100, oh, no, down. What's that little thing there? A little two-seater. 56 grand, plus VAT. What does that get me? The helicopter. What about learning to fly it? Well, if you want to buy it, we'll learn you to fly it at 56 grand. Right. Okay. Out of my motorhome, I think about it. Got back in my checkbook. I'll start tomorrow morning. I said, oh, can I have a cable? Can I have a cable out your window? Plugs into the the guy's building and just basically stayed there till I learned to fly it. But this is where the bit got great. They thought I was a village idiot. They'd sold me it way too cheap.
Oh, really?
So I became friendly with a guy who was the ex-world sports car champion, Mike Wilds, who I ended up became really good friends with, and he taught me to fly. And it was him that told me that they'd sold me it too cheap. He goes, halfway through it, they want to buy it back off you. They'll give you money back. I went, oh, that's good. He goes, no. He says, just keep flying it. He goes, keep flying it. So I got to the end of my lessons, passed my test. He goes, they want to buy it back off you now. I said, back. He said, no, keep a hold of it. He says, right, so what I do now is give them 2 of your hours for 1 hour and a 44. Do your 44 conversion, a 4-seater conversion, right? Yep, fine. Sell it back now. He goes, no, go away and fly it. Go and fly it for 150 hours and then give me a shout. So I flew it for about 18 months. I said, asked me done 150 hours. He goes, okay, bring it back now. They're going to get your money back. I went, you're kidding. And that's when he goes, yeah, they thought you were the village idiot and they sold me it way too cheap. You know?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And now, as a qualified helicopter pilot, thanks very much, and the conversion to the R44 as well.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And even that, like I said, it definitely helped in the status, you know.
Do you still fly now?
No, as soon as the racing finished, I had to go. It cost way too much money.
They are expensive. Expensive. You never fancied the flying Simo?
I can pedal a sprinter. That's about it.
Yeah, the sprint will do nothing. It gets you from A to B, doesn't it? That's the one. We've got to talk about the 1994 season, because as we stand here today, and I think for the rest of time, you will be the only man ever to win British Supersport and the Superbike title in the same year.
I think it could happen again if they actually had decent prize money and there was an incentive to, you know, the good riders. You know, if you're looking at Kyle Ryde and Glenn Irwin and they boys, they definitely would win 600 races if you put them in a good 600. So I just don't think there's the same incentive for them to do it now. But I wouldn't say it wouldn't happen again, because it definitely could. You know, somebody like Kyle Ryde could definitely.
We know what Kyle can do on an R6.
Exactly.
That's his favourite. That's what he loves. That's what he cut his teeth on. And you look at the last three out of the last 4 BSB champions, all cut their teeth on R6s.
I used to love doing both championships one day. Sometimes we've done 3. Sometimes we do 400, 600 on Superbike. Yeah, I loved it.
And a production bike sometimes.
Yeah, and a production bike as well. Yeah. No, I loved it.
It's just that racing's changed, you know, but definitely there's good riders that could do it now. Yeah.
Interesting. It could be. We don't consider it now, do we? That's the thing, because everybody's in a set
America.
championship. But in the States that they can do. But that under the current schedule for BSB, that's 5 races a weekend.
Okay.
But how many were you guys doing?
Sounds okay.
It sounds all right. Is that all?
Keeps you fit anyway.
Yeah, it does. Keeps you focused and attention up, doesn't it? That without a shadow of a doubt.
You know, if they had £20,000 for winning a 600 race or something, I bet you'd see Glenn Irwin and Kyle Ryde and stuff in the 600s. So I would if I was there.
Well, we used to do both. We had it geared up so we were like, it wasn't just the prize money; it was prize money plus bonus in both classes. So yeah, you're doing real. If you're successful in both classes, you're doing really well.
If you negotiated your contract right and you got podium bonuses on top of it as well.
Yeah, from helmet companies, from the tire, because we were getting paid by the tire companies in those days as well. So you're getting paid by the tire companies, you're getting bonus for the tire company, then bonus from the manufacturers. You know, because super sport in those days was really, really popular. You know, it was the best-selling class. You know,
it's a shame it's changed a little bit now, isn't it? Because as we listed the riders earlier on that came through Supersport, it was as popular as Superbike, if not more so at one point. That the Supersport was, as they were referred to, as the axe murderers. Just the best racing. As you look back through your career, what one race or situation gives you the most pride? I've just had the 10-minute sign, so we've got to start winding this up now.
I don't know. Probably my first TT one, I suppose. You know, because I'd tried so hard to get there. You know.
Simmer?
It was a race that nobody else would ever remember, really. Probably a 91 race at 600 British Championship race at Oatland in 91. There was like, you know, Jim was in it and Fogey and Sean Emmett, and Ian McPherson and Phil Borley, Mark Farmer, Brian Morrison, all the top riders of the day. And just some days you just click, when you ride, everything just falls into place. And lucky enough to win that race by a fair bit. And the lap record stood for about 3 or 4 years or something. It's a long time in those days. So probably that race that sort of clicked. I thought, well, why can't I ride like this every week? But that doesn't happen very often.
I've heard that from a couple of riders, and Jim, maybe you've been in a similar situation, that either at the TT or in a short circuit race. And it sounds daft, but I kind of understand the way that they explain it. That they start watching the race from above. When you have that, you're in the flow with the bike. Everything is perfect.
It feels safe. It's a weird feeling.
It feels
You're
easy.
going quicker than you've ever done, but it feels easy.
Yeah, it feels safe.
Must be a really unusual, because the intensity of racing motorcycles, but all of a sudden you're at one with it and the flow is there.
It only happened.
It very rarely happens, yeah. I had it in '99 when I rode the Honda France factory bike at the Ball d'Or, and it was brilliant in practice, and it was even better in the race. And like that's when World Endurance was proper World Endurance. You had all the top guys, and you're riding the bike, and it just felt so good and so easy. I'd done it in '95 for Yamaha, but when I went there, I was hurt. I was injured before I went, so it wasn't a very good comparison. But '99, we could do an hour on the bike. We were leading by nearly a lap, and that's when there was Reimer and Stevie and Brian and Neil, Steve Plater. There was and all the top French guys, and I had Eric Bossum as my teammate. And you come off after an hour and say, "You want a matter?" I said, "No, I'm fine." It was just the most amazing feeling. It was the best bike on the track, and that's very, very rare when it's like that. And just everything felt so comfortable and so smooth.
Incredible. As we start to wrap up, because I can feel Jennifer's, we're going to be due upstairs very shortly. How's life outside of racing now? What's happening for Jim Moodie outside of racing? What does it entail now?
Not a lot. Cycle every day, that's about
it. Enjoying what you have.
Yeah.
Simo?
I enjoy doing bike tours. I'm just back for Spain.
Plug the bike tour.
I was just back for Spain. 12 of us went around Spain and Portugal for about 10 days, and that was great fun. Loved that. So do wee tours around Scotland and stuff. So I've got 4 folk coming up next week for a wee tour around the south of Scotland. So I just enjoyed doing a bit of track days with James Whittam, get a laugh, get to know people like Kyle Ride and Adam Jenkinson and stuff. A lot of boys that have Jenko's funny. He's always got a good story, Jenko. I'll tell you a quick story that made me laugh, but he was telling his dad was a right character. So they do this old women's house every day. Do the garden every week. So they go around this week to cut the grass and stuff. And the old wife says, "Look, I don't want you to cut the grass this week. It's my hamster. I want you to take it to the vet to get him put down. He's in a bad way. I don't want to really know too much about it. Just want you to take the hamster to the vet." So, okay, we'll do that. There's the money for cutting the grass, and there's the money for the vet. I've phoned them up, and it's like 60 quid out of her to euthanise this poor hamster. So, and she says, "I'm away to visit my sister while you do this, because I can't cope with the thought of it all." So off she goes. They go through the back and get this wee hamster.
You better hope she's not watching this.
I know. So this poor wee hamster, it's a bit deed. It's all the fur and everything's fell off it. It's in its cage. So Jenko opens the cage to get the wee hamster out, and he starts trying to get out with a shovel.
Dunk.
So the hamster suddenly came to life, got a second wind. They chase around the shed with a shovel. They eventually got it in a shovel. Eventually hit it, got it with a shovel, put it in a bag and tied it up and put it in the bin. And he says, him and his dad says, "Come on, we'll go to that cafe that I really like for the 60 quid. That's his finish for the day. But Jenko tells that story much better than me. He's a proper character.
Just great fun. Jenko is, and his brother's still in the paddock now working away. You see Dave around as well. And also, don't forget the book as well. We had the book courtesy of yourself and Stewie Barker. We've got that on sale as well upstairs. And we'll also put a link in the description below to the book. So we'll make sure we can get that, and I'm sure people can have it signed. And
thanks to anybody that's bought that. I really appreciate that, because I thought I'd give one to my mum and one to Jim and one to you, and that'd be it.
my coffee is pride of place.
I'm amazed that anybody's bought it, so thanks to all the people that's bought it. I really appreciate that.
It's a fantastic read. We're going to go upstairs and we're going to do this again in front of a live audience of some, I don't know, I think Jez said there's maybe 500 people, I think, coming upstairs. This has been a nice little warm-up. But gentlemen, thank you so much. Jim, what a pleasure. Thank you so much, mate. Simo, always a pleasure.
Thanks,
thank you very much. We're going to have some lunch. We're going to go upstairs and hand the bikes over. We'll see a little bit of that later on. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for watching. Jim Moodie, Ian Simpson. We'll catch you next time.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that just as much as we did. A massive thank you to Jim and to Ian, and also to Jez Murray for organising the whole event up at the Moulsdale Foundation Museum, and to David Moulsdale himself for his friendship and for his hospitality. It was an amazing day, and one that everybody who was there will remember for a long time. We've got a week off next week, so if you're new to us, maybe there's a chance to catch up on some old episodes, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks after Alton Park BSB, which is shaping up to be a real humdinger of a season finale. Until then, make sure you look after yourselves, and thank you so very much for watching. Bye-bye.